Bach's Allegro Moderato has a bright, joyous, energetic feel to it. And for that reason, I personally like to do a lot of the fingering just in first position using open strings. Because I think that open A string quality is really appropriate for the character of this piece. You may disagree, that's fine. But the fingerings you're going to see me doing are going to be mostly just in first position and taking advantage of that open string sound. There are a few tricky shift spots in this, so we're going to go over those, and then we might talk a little bit about the energy you need in your bow stroke to really capture the character of this piece. So let's start out with drilling the shift that is right around measure 26. Okay, that's the one that we just had. Right, so we're just this. And the way I would practice this is going back and forth a million times. It's a hard spot to get in tune. So if you need to go a little slower than this. Okay, so it's a combination of the extension and that one brief note up to the harmonic. To start a couple of notes before that, just to get there, we've got a 1 replace 2 shift, extend up. Might want to close your eyes. Let's try that again. Eyes closed, just feeling that distance that you have to go to get up there. Okay, here we go, starting on the C sharp up bow, and spot, might need a little extra practice. Moving along to the next practice spot, I would say that what you have in measure 30, is that measure 30? Yes, measure 30 will also need some attention. And two things are difficult about this. The fingerings, you know, they kind of get going sort of fast, a little bit of finger twister, and then you've got this bowing pattern, yum-ba-da-da, 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 which can also start to present some challenges. So what I would suggest for starting this out is either practicing it pizzicato or practicing it just with separate bows. And separate bows is what I'm going to do. Okay, so this way you only have one hand to worry about, right? So let's just go slowly. Okay, I'm going to start one more time just in case you want to join me. Ready, and let's speed it up a little bit. If it didn't feel quite easy yet, give yourself a few more times at the slow tempo, okay? Just turn off the video and do some practice. But if you're ready for it, here we go a little faster. Yum ba da da, ready and play now. Whether the thumb moves, that it should move on the extension. And also when you go to the second G sharp, which you might think of as a shift. All right, faster. Bum ba dee da dee da dee da. Ready, and. Okay, so if that's feeling pretty fluid in this hand, then it's time to think about adding the bow. Let's start out working on this bow stroke just on open D. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I've got a good grab on the string, and I'm going to do down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, so I got a quick down, right? Grab it, release. Okay, and that would kind of just shoot you forward a bit without having it become excessively aggressive. All right, so I grab, I release, and then very slow bow on those the up bow. Okay, so we got to cover the same amount of space in 1/8 note this direction as we've got 3/8 notes going in this direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and the risk of this spot is that it can become yumpa, 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 which is not so beautiful, okay? So you gotta kind of balance out. Yes, the down bow can get a little extra emphasis, but don't go overboard, all right? Let's try adding the hands together, and I'll go back to a wee bit slower, so yum-ba-da-da, ready, and. Okay, and up to speed, maybe even a nice quick tempo, I should say. Yum-ba-dee-da, ready, and. Okay, so those few measures, everyone needs to give those probably a little extra attention. Next shifty spot that I think is tough is in measure 54. Okay, I'm actually going to start halfway through 54 slowly. Let's just do that a few times. One more. Okay, let's add a few notes. Okay, now what's tricky about this is, of course, that I just shifted twice in a row, okay, 2 notes in a row, which we like to avoid when we can, but here we can't avoid it. So there's 2 shifts in a row, followed very immediately by an extension, a forward extension. All right, so let's try that again, starting in the same spot. Okay, intonation there can be tricky. Let's do it again. One more time. And keep going. Okay, so you will notice I just put my 3rd finger on that note. You could do it, the 2nd finger, keep the extension. I just don't like the way it feels, so I changed to my 3rd finger there. Doesn't really matter as long as you know what you're doing and you have the appropriate distance between your fingers. Okay, so let's try that again. Choose your method. 4, 2, 3. One more time now. Okay, and then we're going to just look quickly at one more shifting spot, and that is in measure the 3rd to the end. 3rd, last 3 bars, okay? And I'm going to start again halfway through the bar. So, okay, starting on the 1st finger D with an extension, going up to the G, where my 4th finger would normally be in 4th position, right? Okay, so. And again. What we need is a whole step up to the A, and we've got a half step between 1 and 2. So, let's try that again. Again. And finish it. Okay, let's go back from the D. So, get your extension ready. Okay, and I'm not using vibrato here, right? Now, probably when I really play it in the end, I will vibrate at least some of those notes, but the reason that I'm not doing it for now is because intonation practice is best without vibrato, generally speaking, because vibrato can, well, makes the pitch wobble a bit. So if you really want to be able to hear exactly where you are, practicing without vibrato is a good strategy. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play the whole thing through at a very modest tempo. But I'm still going to try to get the appropriate articulations in the bow. And basically what that means is just lots of energy, especially whenever you see quarter notes, we're going to give a little bit of, grab and release. So those have lots and lots of energy. Okay, there's not a whole lot of legato quarter notes in this. Right, you've got your détaché stroke on the whatever they're called, eighth notes, and then we're going to be releasing the quarters. All right, so our tempo is about 1, 2, 3. I sang the piano part during that long note, right? And you probably also, for your own practice, you're going to want to get to know the piano part, maybe listening to some recording of it, because at the very beginning, one of the hardest things about this piece is just coming in at the right time. So make sure you've listened to that piano part and counted it out so you know when it's your turn to come in. From my perspective, this piece is so naturally beautiful. Bach did such a good job that if you just play it cleanly and with energy, it will be fantastically beautiful. So what we did here, starting kind of slow in your practice, I'd say go that way, because if you're playing it cleanly and those notes are just ringing out, it's going to be gorgeous when you then speed the tempo up a little bit. And so for a final tempo, I think there is a huge range of tempos that can work for this, but maybe shoot for something along the lines of... Great, I think that's plenty fast enough. You want to go faster? Go faster. But I don't think it needs to be crazy fast. Okay, but start slow in your practice and just make sure everything rings, all right, and your shifts are really into. Thank you very much. Have fun.